My name is Ashley Thomas. I'm 21 years old. I am from the suburbs right outside of Philly, and I live in Brooklyn, New York now. I remember my childhood being really awesome. I had like a super crazy imagination. When my other girlfriends were, playing princesses and stuff, I was playing monsters. I was really into like vampires and just like swamp monster type stuff. When I was 6 years old, I got this makeup kit, and instead of, making myself look like a beautiful drama queen, I decided to make myself look like a zombie ghost dog. And my mom was like, "What the heck are you doing, Ash?" And I believe it was Christmas, because that's when I got it. And they always videotaped all the Christmases. So there's a VHS of me singing this Ghost in the Graveyard Dog song. It's kind of awesome, but it's a little embarrassing. I first started getting into like alternative style and music when I was in 5th grade. From then up until I guess 11th grade in high school, I got teased and picked on a lot because I was like the weird kid. I had 3 bullies actually through high school, and they were pretty consistent about making my life not awesome. Yeah, I'm like really anti-bullying. Now that I'm an adult, I have the confidence to not let people bully me. And I would definitely defend somebody who's getting picked on. As far as experience goes, I would say I've been doing it since 2009. That is when I got my first internship. They were filming a vampire movie. It was like a higher budget, independent type deal. It was like an hour away from my house, and I got the luck of the draw and got the makeup department. I was assisting the key makeup artist and the special effects team. 12-hour days. It was unpaid. Both the makeup artists saw that I wanted to put in, as much effort as possible. I told them at the end of the shoot that if they ever need an assistant, that I would love to, do this with my life. And they saw that kind of like drive and ambition in me, and they said, okay, like, we'll, take you on as an assistant. I was like, awesome, thank you. So that's how it started. And then, after that I went to makeup school. I went to the Makeup Designery in Soho in New York City. It taught us everything from beauty, film, fashion, to basic hairstyling, to special effects. And of course, the special effects was my favorite part. While I was in school, I was also assisting my special effects mentor and doing like shop work with him. After school, I've been steadily working on, anywhere from like student films to, bigger budget. And I just love every single job.
For my makeup, I will be doing a half burned face and a half subtle old age makeup.
I would say something unusual about me is that although I love horror and like everything scary, I am super nice and like pumped all the time. So you kind of wouldn't even guess that I love all that stuff just by talking to me. I would never wish harm on anybody in real life, but just like coming up with like sick and twisted ways to, show like torture or like, injuries or, all that is just, it's awesome to me. I love it. My biggest fear in life right now as a 21-year-old living on her own, working 3 jobs, trying to pay back her student loans, is that I will run out of money and have to move back home with my family. Which, although that would not be the end of the world, in that case I would feel like I had failed, and I would be very disappointed in myself. I do draw comics. Drawing and art and makeup, I think, go hand in hand because you need to understand anatomy, you need to understand, playing with dark and light, and a lot of my art is horror related, which I think just ties into doing special effects stuff. I draw a lot of inspiration from like cannibalism and like voodoo and tribal stuff. Also, any ultra violence. And yeah, a lot of my comics are about that stuff too. So I spent a lot of time like, looking at terrible things from life So I feel like I have a very good understanding of what people really look like when they die or when they're burned or when they're, you know, shot. I feel like you have to look at what it really looks like to understand that. You can't just make that up. It's really hard for me to pick just one makeup that I would pick as my favorite, but I recently had the pleasure of watching Videodrome, and I absolutely loved it. The practical effects and just the handgun, the tapes in the stomach, it was just all amazing. I feel like more movies today need to have that, because I feel like so much CG is used and it's not ever as good. I feel like the best is the combination with CG and, you know, practical effects makeup. But you know, when the gun is like morphing into his hand, that was super cool. Once the gun was like attached to his hand, that was just so cool. It looked flawless. I couldn't find any seams or, you know, it was great. I would make an amazing contestant on Face Off because I'm extremely focused on my career. I'm living by myself. I'm 21 and, you know, I've already been doing this for 3 years. I'm very ambitious. I feel like I'm nice, but I'm stern and focused when it's appropriate. I work well with others, but I don't let people walk all over me. I would absolutely just love this opportunity to, you know, learn with other artists. I would love to be able to work in a proper workshop, because a tiny apartment in Brooklyn is not a proper workshop. To win, I'm gonna treat it like any other competition. I'm not gonna be a crazy, like, cutthroat. I'm not gonna, like, mow anybody down. And I'm gonna be as awesome as I can possibly be. I feel like if I were to be, like, conniving and manipulative and all that, I would end up losing. Because that would be villainous, and villains don't ever win. But I'm gonna just be super awesome. You know, I'm ambitious and competitive, so that's why I want to, you know, be in this in the first place.